Hey guys, Kamikaze Ikun here, and now I'm back after 3 weeks of not doing any content other than live streams. Today I'm actually going to be responding to a video based on something my friend Zach, the Iowa Retro Gamer Dad, had made about a week ago. That video being if you could pick a movie, film, and a soundtrack from a particular year, what would that be? Well, it took me a while to figure that out because I was going through all the movies I enjoy, the soundtracks, the games, and trying to match those up and trying to being able to relate to those games, during the time when they came out. Meaning I would have had to have either heard them, seen them, or played them around that time. So I came up with something, but this was something. These are all things that I had experienced when I was very young. What year was it I picked? 1986, which I would have been about 4 or 5 around that time. Really young to be experiencing, especially the movie and the soundtrack that I have picked out. I think I was way too young to be listening to that sort of thing, but nobody cared at that time, so neither do I. So, like I said before, the year I picked was 1986, and my first pick here, the movie that I had chosen was this right here, Big Trouble Little China, with Kurt Russell. This is absolutely, without a doubt, my favorite film with Kurt Russell. Just the fact that all of this started just because he wanted his truck back. You get all this weird science fiction and wizardry and martial arts action. This is just all around a great movie. I try to watch this at least once every year if I can. I love this. You guys need to seek this out, especially if you're into cheesy 80s movies. This is probably top of the hill, bar none, one of the weirdest ones that you will probably ever experience in your life. And of course I have the Blu-ray edition of this because I literally wanted everything that I could possibly get. This one of course includes all the deleted cut content from the theatrical release. Now, how does this relate to me back in 1986? Well, I had seen this, not in theaters, but I think it was a year later, I had actually seen this on cable television. And this was another one of those movies that I feel like I was way too young to be watching, but I enjoyed the heck out of this stuff. And, I begged my mom after I had seen it, I wanted to see, I think I watched this probably halfway, I had started this movie at the halfway point, so I had no idea what was going on, but I was just so intrigued by it. I had begged her to rent this movie for me. So we did. She went out, she rented it. She absolutely hated it at that time, but I thought it was a kick, man. It was just so freaking amazing. So, next on my list, of course, is the soundtrack that I had picked from 1986, and that would be Metallica's Master of the Puppets. Now, even from an early age, I used to love, well, still do actually, love rock music, metal, that sort of thing. Every morning, I remember when my dad's alarm would go off, it would be blaring the classic rock hits, and I would love that stuff to no end. And it was fantastic. And, it was probably one of the cornerstones of me really getting into metal and, just that genre of music in general. I remember listening to this on cassette, would have it on my headphones, and I would just be blaring that all day until the batteries died. This is a very popular album. I'm sure many of you have already heard it. You're already aware of just how amazing it is. I think it's an amazing album. Probably one of my favorites, other than Kill 'Em All. I don't really care for anything Metallica after, I would say 92, at least. But this one to me stands as, probably one of the best that they have ever released. So how does that relate to me back in 1986? Well, like I said before, it is one of those things. I heard it on the radio maybe 2 or 3 months after it came out. And again, really too young to be listening to anything Metallica related. But I remember like saving up my money and purchasing this cassette, and it was like the first year I got my Sony Walkman. And man, I listened to the crap out of this album. I loved it so much that basically I played it until the tape finally broke, like the little filmy part of it. I don't know what you would call it, the reel, actually broke on this thing. So I ended up having a friend like, you know, make me a bootleg copy of it, and I would just listen to it there. And it was great. I love that album so much. And again, if it's something you guys have never heard or, you know, bothered to listen to, check it out on like Spotify or something like that. There's just so many good tracks on this. So the last piece of 1986 that I'd like to show you guys was a game that kind of introduced me to the NES. I was not the first kid on my block to have a Nintendo, and certainly I didn't get one till much later on. I would say probably about 1989, but the game I'm showing you now is Donkey Kong Jr., which was also released in 1986. This game was actually one of the first games I played on the NES. I remember my neighbors picked up an NES that year, and you know, they had, you know, the common pack and stuff like Duck Hunt, Mario. They had Excite Bike. They had a few other titles, but this is the one that really stood out to me because before the NES, I had an Atari, and I never played that thing. I'll be honest. I've maybe played it a couple times. I remember playing Donkey Kong in that game and thinking it was an entirely different game than what it actually was. Just, I don't know, something about the Atari just never really appealed to me, but when I'd seen them playing this game, I had to try it, and I maybe spent a good like 2 or 3 hours behind that controller just learning how to do this and learning how to play games and getting accustomed to the Nintendo. And like I said, it wasn't until years later that I would actually get one of my own, but you know, I had so many awesome summers where I would just go hang out with my friends and we would just play on their Nintendo, their Master System, and we had a fantastic time. So that is how that pretty much relates to me being, you know, a much younger Kamikaze Ikun, and you know, getting into these things at a much earlier time than I should have really been getting into them. But anyways, guys, that is my response to Zach's video there. All three of these, you know, very popular, pretty easy to attain. And each one I feel is fantastic and really kind of helped me, you know, shape the mold as to the person that I would end up becoming, you know, years down the road. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around and checking out my video. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, the like button, and well, I guess until next time, guys, thank you for watching.